Later, while the Pascal team rests, Twai blames Zafran for Susan's death, believing he should have shot the militant kid. The movie begins in Southeast Asia, where war has ravaged the nation of Namburi, a chaotic state in the Pacific Ocean. It separated North Namburi and South Namburi for the past 5 years. After a ceasefire was called in Namburi 4 months ago, the Pascal, Royal Malaysian Air Force Special Operations, escorted a humanitarian mission into the state, allowing peacekeeping efforts. In the present day, a propaganda video is being scrutinized by journalist Natra and cameraman Matno concerning the war-torn island nation of Namburi now that the ceasefire of the Namburi civil war ends today. The South Namburi separatist militants control more than half of the Namburi district, allowing them to kill anyone allied to the North Namburi military, including women and children. As they pursue the rest of the South Namburi separatist faction, their chaos has trapped the Pascal squad, who have joined the fight to protect the humanitarian efforts no matter the cost. Later, news of the ceasefire ending spread, prompting everyone in the Namburi conflict-free zone to evacuate. One of the soldiers, Force Protection Team leader Captain Adib, is informed by the commanding officer, Major Adnan, of Northern Namburi separatists chasing their group as they return to the base, prompting him to secure the zone for their arrival. With him is a young, badly injured Southern militant. Though they are escorted into the zone safely, the staff feel reservations about aiding the militants. Still, Adnan quickly takes him to the infirmary to get medical attention from the lead humanitarian, Dr. Susan Livingstone, a trauma surgeon from the World Health Organization. He ultimately succumbs to his wounds, saddening Adnan. Adib protests his actions, but he reminds him about the duties of Pascal to save human lives. They immediately evacuate the zone afterward, though Adnan is warned the Northern Namburi militia will target them. Other team members are introduced inside the aircraft, including combat signaler Huyan, designated marksman Gabon, pointsman Twai, combat medic Paco, and Air Force pilots Nui Latana and Major Syed Yazid. Not long after takeoff, the Northern Namburi faction sends a homing missile to the plane, forcing them to perform evasive maneuvers to avoid getting hit. Despite their best efforts, their plane is struck, causing them to free fall in mid-air. Adib is recruited into the military 8 years before this incident with his best friend, Zafran. The pair have grown up together since childhood. One day, Zafran snaps at him for not enlisting in basic flying since they dreamed of becoming Air Force pilots. Adib dismisses this, reasoning that his path is to become a Pascal commando, having been inspired by Major Adnan. Their friendship falls apart as Adib begins secretly dating Zafran's sister, Hana, who demands the pair respect each other's private lives. Eventually, through hard work and intense training, the two former friends become specialists in their chosen field, with Adib now married to Hana. Returning to the present, the Pascal team brace themselves as their incinerated aircraft crashes down to land. They immediately eject from the plane, leaving the two pilots in another fiery explosion caused by the militia's rocket launcher. News of the crash is reported to Royal Air Force Brigadier General Abdul Rahim, who informs the staff to initiate a search and rescue mission in Namburi. Meanwhile, Adib and Paco awaken somewhere near a brook where dozens of dead villagers are seen. They soon rejoin Major Adnan and the rest in a field while a militia death squad pursues them. Elsewhere, Zafran and wingman, weapon sensor officer Armin Suhaimi, return to the RMAF base, only to be told by fellow pilots Saifullah Azman and Hisham Aziz that the Pascal's A400 carrier went missing earlier in the day. Realizing his brother-in-law is undertaking the mission in Namburi, he immediately reports to Lieutenant Colonel Hassan to join the rescue effort, only to be denied for breaching SOP due to his unauthorized low-flying maneuvers. He later complains to the engineering officer, Major Maria Lee, since she is responsible for investigating his case. Fortunately, Colonel Hassan changes his mind, convincing General Rahim to reinstate him for the mission since he is an excellent pilot. Meanwhile, Adnan devises a new plan with the surviving Pascal team to find survivors, recover the A400 carrier's data pack, and travel to the airbase to wait for extraction back to Kuala Lumpur. They sneak into the crash site as militia members search for them. However, their cover is blown when Matno's watch beeps, causing them to engage prematurely and incapacitate the enemy force. After the fight, Twai gets angry at Matno, threatening to kill him for his incompetence. Adnan is given the data pack and orders the men to wear the militants' uniforms to help them blend in when they reach the airbase. During their travel, he entrusts the data pack to Matno, knowing the militia would never suspect him. Not long after they pass through a southern Namburi militia camp, they are recognized by a child militant as foreign fugitives, prompting other militia to open fire while they attempt to escape. Natra soon discovers Susan died from a bullet striking her neck during the shootout. At RMAF headquarters, the officers are debriefed over the latest updates with the Pascal team through satellite images, determining the safest way for the pilots to enter Namburi without triggering the SAM sites. Later, while the Pascal team rests, Twai blames Zafran for Susan's death, believing he should have shot the militant kid. After burying the surgeon, they heard gunfire from the southern militia camp as the northern Namburi insurgents raided the area. To avoid them, they immediately head out by crossing the river to reach the other side of the region. Amid their tiring journey, Paco rushes to save his daughter, Lara, trapped on a hill, triggering a mine that kills him. This is revealed to be a hallucination caused by guilt when he accidentally killed her with his car some time ago. Though suffering another heavy loss, Adnan orders the men to stick to the original plan. Meanwhile, in the waiting room, Hana tearfully pleads with Zafran to bring Adib home as other family members demand answers for the A400 disaster. Not long after, the team comes uphill to see the ongoing civil war from a distance as heavy gunfire crosses between borders. Adnan suggests passing through the underground tunnel, but Adib hesitates as their team should be exposed above ground to get rescued. Huyan reports the intel to the RMAF base, where the pilots are briefed about the rescue mission codenamed Operation Hornbill. Colonel Hassan meets with Zafran to inform him they will use his low-flight plan to intercept the team at Namburi, delighting the young pilot, who is now tasked to lead the operation. By nightfall, the Pascal team passes through a thick jungle. It arrives at the tunnel filled with dead refugees, closely followed by the northern Namburi militia. While sneaking inside, they get caught in a grenade explosion and a shootout. However, they recover a local woman still alive. More militants appear as they exchange gunfire with the team, injuring Twai. Adib shoots the breaker box to disable their line of sight, causing the lights to turn off. The men equip their night vision goggles and quickly eliminate the insurgents blinded by the darkness. Adnan badly injures himself in the leg when he detonates a grenade to kill the militants who cornered him. Still, he manages to shake it off and continue with the team toward the exit. However, he becomes forlorn when he discovers the airbase has been overrun by a local militia who seemingly killed all their colleagues. Feeling defeated, Adnan and the team spend the night recuperating inside the tunnel, planning their next move. Natra consoles him while he rests, learning he is keeping a bracelet gifted by his ailing son, who is undergoing therapy for autism. He admits to her his failure as a leader, though she still thanks him for saving her and Matno since the crash. He then apologizes to Adib, only to be reminded to keep fighting the good fight and pray for their strength to return, never letting the team down. Suddenly, in the middle of the conversation, the men accidentally discover a hidden path to another exit, giving them a chance to pass through undetected. Meanwhile, General Rahim initiates Operation Hornbill after the AWACS radar returns images of the Pascal team's location in Namburi. Zafran prepares for the flight, teaming up with Asman, who sets aside his competitiveness for the mission. After Mario wishes him luck, he takes off into the night to Namburi with the rest of the Sukhoi aircraft. Meanwhile, the ground forces rescue team at the coalition forward operating base begin executing the task under the general's orders. Elsewhere, after traversing a narrow corridor, the Pascal team exits through an opening leading to the outside. Unfortunately, a militant pulls Adnan away in the middle of his climb as the hatch accidentally closes. Luckily, he manages to kill the enemy soldier and reopen the door to rejoin the team. Adib orders Twai and Gabin to keep the injured Adnan and the rest in a safe place. At the same time, Huyan and himself will contact HQ on higher ground, promising to rendezvous with them as soon as possible. Later, Commander General Sri Norman arrives at the RMAF's control room and is debriefed on the situation as the Pascal survivors trigger a beacon to send a signal from their location. General Rahim tasks Zafran and his team to clear the airspace surrounding the coordinates. Meanwhile, while positioning the satellite, Huyan gets a response from the rescue team, informing him they are on their way to extract them in a designated landing zone 1 click to the west of their location. In the airspace of Namburi's Zone 11, Zafran destroys the SAM site to allow the helicopters to fly unharmed. Simultaneously, after Adib and the team receive new coordinates for the landing zone, the northern Namburi militia appears, positioning snipers to shoot them, killing Huyan. As the group hides behind an abandoned car, Adnan passes the leadership role to Adib, wishing to be left behind to buy them time to escape. He radios HQ and Zafran that the danger is close, sending a beacon signal to bomb the area. With a heavy heart, Zafran launches a missile on his location, as Adnan heroically dies while remembering everyone who lost their lives and his son. Soon after the bombing raid, Zafran's aircraft is intercepted by an enemy pilot. At the same time, the surviving Pascal team escapes hundreds of enemy ground forces. An intense gunfight ensues, injuring Natra and Gabin as they attempt to flee from the open field while being bombarded by flak cannons. Meanwhile, the chase continues between the Sukhoi plane and the enemy jet as Zafran tries aerial maneuvers to confuse his pursuer. He then abruptly halts, twisting the plane around to the back of the enemy aircraft to shoot it from behind. However, despite this effort, Zafran gets targeted by a homing missile, so he ascends the plane around 50 feet and releases the flares to destroy it before dangerously diving below and losing contact with headquarters. Luckily, he performs his low aerial maneuver before hitting the water, successfully leveling the plane to regain control and return to base. Simultaneously, the surviving Pascal team prepares for their imminent death when the RMAF forces arrive, including the rescue carriers, providing cover support and keeping all the insurgents at bay during the evacuation. The mission is a success, with Natra, Matno, and the surviving Pascal commandos airlifted to Malaysia. Days later, the team commemorates their fallen comrades, including Major Adnan, as their bodies are recovered and returned to base. General Norman bestows them with military honors as the men salute their sacrifices. Later, a wheelchair-bound Adib returns the bracelet to Adnan's son. Elsewhere, Natra and Matno join the WHO humanitarian effort after feeling inspired by Susan's dedication. Despite Adib and Zafran's separate paths, the movie ends as they promise to keep fighting for their country for as long as they live. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this to help the channel out. Have a nice day.